Hey everybody, it's Thursday. It's time for your Thursday thought. A few weeks ago, I did a video on sewer lines, and then I think last week I did a video on roofs, and kind of the process and navigating that when you're in the middle of a transaction. So I wanted to circle around and do and talk about kind of the inspection process, what we're seeing in this seller's market as far as inspections go, and then maybe kind of give you some tips or advice on how to navigate them. So first off, in this market, we're seeing a lot of offers coming through where the buyers are saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we are only going to ask for health, safety, and major mechanical, meaning HVAC systems, electrical, plumbing, roof systems, drainage, like a sewer line, which is kind of part of plumbing, and things along those lines. And then health and safety are kind of obvious things that would affect health and safety. So ultimately, that is what we're seeing quite a bit of. And so this is then that statement, health, safety, major mechanical, leaves a lot of gray area, because what one person may perceive as a health or safety issue, the other party may not. And I've been on both sides of this. I've had the listing where the buyers bring me things that I don't think are health and safety issue. My sellers don't think that. And then I've been on the other side where my buyers get their inspection report and they think things are health and safety issues. And I'm like, maybe you might be able to stretch that, but the seller and the listing agents didn't, right? So what I would say is lean on your agent to kind of ascertain, have a really good conversation about things, maybe before you use that language, to know what is going to be considered health and safety issues. To give you two quick examples, I had the listing and the buyers came back and said that we needed to replace the stairs leading up to a deck because there was a small piece of the stringer that was holding the stairs that was rotted. Stairs were really solid, and my sellers were like, no, it's not health or safety. We're not going to spend $1,200 rebuilding that for a very minimal amount of rot on one or two of the stair treads. And then on the other side, I had a buyer who said, hey, there's a split in the driveway. I think that there's a 1.5-inch gap, and that's a tripping hazard, so that's a safety issue. It's like, well, maybe. I mean, maybe if it wasn't well lit and you didn't see it, you could fall on it, but, that means every stair in your house could potentially be one too. Like there was, and the sellers of that particular deal also didn't see it that way. So ultimately, you can see where there can be some gray area. So, now I want to kind of go back to some of those larger ticket items that are actually more relevant, right? If a roof is shot, it really should fall to the seller to replace it. Now, sometimes the sellers are going to say, no, we're not going to do it, and the buyers can either take it or leave it. And in this market, they may choose to take it. However, you can either do one of a couple of things. You could just do a price reduction or do a concession, or sellers can pay for it, or sellers can go through an insurance claim, and they can mitigate that roof. And other ones, hey, the furnace doesn't work, right? It doesn't work at all. I mean, it's not just that it's old and it's not efficient. It's just it's broken, right? Things along those lines are large ticket dollar items, but in recent transactions that I've done, sellers have paid for these big ticket items because it's kind of to be expected that the house should have a sewer line that works, and it should have a heating source, and should have a good roof. And so those are some things that are kind of generally accepted kind of across. So even though this is a seller's market, don't be afraid to ask for things if they're legitimate. And that's ultimately, I think, the summation of this thought is that if there are things that come up on the inspection report that are legitimate, talk to your agent, ask for them. Your agent should be me, by the way. But yes, you should talk to your agent and find the good win-win. It's not about extracting money from the seller. It's about finding the win-win and addressing legitimate concerns, whether it be a sewer line, or whether it be a furnace, or whether it be appliances that don't work, or a gas leak, or a water leak from some plumbing and some drains. So work with your agent, which should be me. Find out what is expected to be working. Write an inspection objection that makes sense. You're asking for legitimate things. And then on the converse side, if you're a seller, and especially in this market, you probably have the ability to tell the buyer to go pound salt, but you shouldn't, because that's not how you want to be treated, and because you should be conveying a house that's in good working order. And so if they are legitimate requests for legitimate items, then I think you should take action to either mitigate the issues, or to provide some concessions or some money so the buyer can do so post-closing. Anyway, hope that all makes sense. Kind of simple, but I find that there's can be a lot of tension around the inspection process in the real estate transaction. So I hope that's helpful, guys. Thank you for tuning into this week's Thursday Thought, and we'll catch you next week on next week's Thursday Thought. Ciao.